All right, let's dive right in. Now, building your own underwater drone, I know, it sounds like some super complex engineering project, right? Well, we're going to show you how to turn it into an absolutely incredible adventure. Think of this as your guide to building a machine that can unlock secrets that have been hidden for centuries deep within Lake Michigan.
You know, this quote really gets to the heart of it all. For pretty much all of history, exploring the depths of Lake Michigan, that required huge budgets and professional scientific expeditions. But now, with a little bit of ingenuity, that is all changing. There's a whole unseen world just waiting for you.
So before we even think about grabbing our tools, let's talk about the why. What is it that makes Lake Michigan such a compelling place to explore in the first place? I mean, what's actually waiting for us down there?
The sheer variety of what's down there is just incredible. We're talking about over 1,500 shipwrecks, okay? Many of them in stunningly preserved condition, all thanks to that cold, fresh water. But it's not just about human history. You can explore these amazing geological formations left behind by glaciers, find ancient shorelines and caves, and document these totally unique ecosystems. In fact, amateur explorers have even identified new colonies of invertebrates. It's a literal submerged treasure trove. And that brings us to the key that unlocks that treasure chest, the DIY drone. And listen, this isn't just about saving a few bucks. It's about the empowerment that comes from building a tool that's perfectly suited for your mission. So what's the real advantage here? It's flexibility. With a do-it-yourself build, you can tailor every single component to your goals. Whether you want to explore a really deep shipwreck or track invasive species, you're in control. And what happens if something breaks? Well, because of the modular design, you can make repairs right there on the boat, instead of having to ship the whole thing back to the manufacturer for weeks.
Okay, let's talk money, because this is a big one. Building your own underwater drone can be 60 to 80% cheaper than buying a commercial model with similar capabilities. That's a massive, massive difference that puts this kind of exploration within reach for pretty much everyone.
And to put a real number on it, you can get in the water with a very capable machine for just a few $100s. Now, compare that to the professional vehicles that universities use. Those can cost tens of thousands of dollars. You can see why this is a true game changer. All right, now for the fun part. Let's get into how this all actually comes together. We're going to walk through the builder's blueprint, breaking down the entire assembly into really manageable steps. So here's your core shopping list. The housing. That's your first line of defense against the pressure. A simple 4-inch PVC pipe is often rated for 60 to 100 feet, which is perfect. For propulsion, you're going to want at least 4 brushless motors to stay stable in the lake currents. For your eyes, a wide-angle action camera like a GoPro is perfect. And this is crucial. You need powerful LED lights to cut through the water's natural blue-green tint and actually capture the true colors down there.
The build itself really breaks down into 4 logical phases. First, you start with a stable frame. Then, you mount your motors for control. Here's a tip. Put your electronics on a removable tray. It makes maintenance so much easier. And finally, the most critical step of all, waterproofing. Double seal everything. Seriously, you can't be too careful here.
Now, here's a key concept you have to master: neutral buoyancy. It just means your drone is perfectly balanced. It's not sinking, it's not rising, it's just hovering. But here's a pro tip. Aim for a slight positive tendency. Why? Because that way, if you lose power for any reason, it'll slowly float back to the surface instead of being lost on the lake bed forever. Trust me on this one.
Okay, so you've built the drone. Great! But a drone that works in a swimming pool is a very different beast from one built for Lake Michigan. So now we're going to look at how to engineer some clever solutions for the lake's uniquely demanding environment. First up, the cold. I mean, even in the middle of summer, the depths of Lake Michigan are absolutely frigid. And that cold, it can cripple your batteries, cutting their efficiency by 40 or even 50%. So how do you fight back? Well, the solution is actually pretty simple and low-tech. Just wrap your battery compartments in neoprene, the same stuff wetsuits are made of for insulation. And for especially cold dives, you can even secure a couple of those small chemical heat packs inside to keep the batteries at their best operating temperature. It's a total game changer for extending your dive time.
All right, next challenge, visibility. Lake Michigan's water clarity can change dramatically. One day, it can be crystal clear, and the next, especially after a storm, it can be close to zero. So how do you make sure you always get a good shot?
The secret here is all about lighting placement. See, if your lights are too close to the camera lens, they'll just light up all the tiny particles floating in the water. That's an effect called backscatter, and it ruins your shot. The trick is to mount your lights away from the lens. That way, you're lighting up your subject,
not the water in between, and you get a much, much clearer image.
You know, this project doesn't have to end as just a cool personal hobby. Your DIY drone can actually become a valuable scientific tool, and the discoveries you make can genuinely make a difference. Think about it. Lake Michigan is enormous. Professional researchers simply can't be everywhere at once, and that creates these huge gaps in our knowledge. Gaps that citizen scientists, people just like you, can help fill with every single dive you take. And here are just a few concrete ways you can contribute. You could log environmental data, like water temp and clarity. You could track the spread of invasive species, like quagga mussels. You could even use your footage to create detailed 3D models of shipwrecks for historical archives. Your work can provide absolutely invaluable data to researchers.
And this isn't just me saying it. This quote from a University of Michigan research lab really legitimizes the whole effort. It's a direct acknowledgement that the work being done by enthusiasts in garages and workshops can contribute to major scientific initiatives. It's real.
So, we end with this question. The tools are more accessible than ever, the knowledge is out there, and an entire world of history and science is just waiting below the surface? The only thing left to ask is, with over 1,500 shipwrecks down there, which one will you discover first?